Excuse me. Hey, what's going on, party people? Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Now, if this is the first time here, it's definitely a great pleasure to have you here. I go by the name of Lespri. I am a spiritual healer. And essentially, what I do here, guys, as a spiritual healer, is that I help people to attain their highest level of consciousness. And what that means pretty much, to attain your highest level of consciousness simply means you becoming Christ like. It's you becoming the Buddha like. In fact, what you call Jesus, or to be Jesus like or Krishna like, what that means is it's simply, it's a representation of anyone who has attained that highest level of consciousness. So, that's pretty much what I do. Now, the way that I go about, helping you to attain your highest level of consciousness is by first becoming mentally and emotionally balanced. And obviously, the whole purpose of doing that is, just so you could attain your highest level of consciousness. Now, and that's the only way for you to attain your highest level of consciousness. Because the minute you become separated within yourself, let's just say hypothetically, you become very mental, and you tend to suppress your emotions. By the way, just so you guys know, I mean that's the foundation for toxicity. But I mean, the minute you start suppressing your emotions, that's the recipe for toxicity. Because eventually, what's going to happen is, I mean, all toxic or you know actually came from that close, that part of them being close, not acknowledged, not addressed, and it kind of goes from there. I mean, that's the foundation of it, just so you guys know. But anyway, going back to being too mental and not being, too emotional, you become very much rigid. You become like stone cold, like Judge Dredd, like I like to call it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like everything is very black and white, whereas, adding a little bit of emotions into it allows you to, you know, broaden up pretty much your, or to expand your consciousness a little bit more. It pretty much, what the emotional part of it does is that it adds values to it. It helps you to see it a little bit better than face value. It doesn't make it any stupid, but it's to be smart and then also acknowledge. That's what they call it, being emotionally intelligent. It's using your emotions correctly. you know? You know what I'm saying? And for you to do that, you would need to be emotionally balanced. Do you see what I'm trying to tell you? Like the connection, how your emotions have an impact on your. But if your emotions, I mean, if you're depressed, you're not in your good mood. Like you're not gonna have the best or the clearest, state of mind. That's why they always tell you, what I'm saying, before you sign any paper, just make sure. I mean, if you're mad, take a break. Do you see what I'm saying? Because you don't want to make a fucking and such a fucking impulsive action. And what this is telling you is that you want to be in charge of your emotions. But most importantly, you could do something that you will regret. But most importantly, you're not in your best state of mind. You don't see it clearer. Take your time. you know what I'm saying? So all of that again, that's why you have to become emotionally and mentally balanced. For you to now have a broader perspective, or a broader understanding, or attain your highest level of consciousness. Now, when I'm talking about being emotionally balanced, what I'm also talking about here is for you to acknowledge your emotions, not to suppress them, but most importantly, to understand them. I mean, the whole aspect of you embracing your emotions is saying that, I'm sorry, it's saying pretty much that you understand how you feel. And as part of you, let's just say, doing your shadow work, as I will be talking about shortly when I get into the spiritual side or the whole occult that's helping you to deal with, it's those manuals, right? That's helping you to deal with, the invisible side of you that you're not conscious of. So it's helping you pretty much to become conscious of those aspects of you. Do you see what I'm saying? Like you have a chakra, you have a subconscious mind, you have a third eye. Like all of these things are things that you are, what you're doing when we're talking about the occult. That's what that is. It's helping you to acknowledge those aspects, and it's doing it through those sacred understanding. And but anyway, I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But going back to your emotions, that's what you have to acknowledge. But as part of your shadow work, then later on you'll get to, understand the consequences, which is, you know how to say in the occult, we do say, in fact, you have to heal the wounded child. But for you to do that, you have to understand that child pain. And then now you have to address it as the new you addressing now the old you. So technically, any stone that is left unturned, as you growing, you have to go back and put everything back in order. I mean, that's what the whole shadow work is all about. But a big part of you doing your shadow work is also dealing with your emotions. And meaning, in other words, the part of your emotions now you're dealing with is it's emotions are energy, and there's messages, intelligence in those messages. You know what I'm saying? It's like the first time you burn your fingers, you remember not to put your hands there. Like there's messages. You know what I'm saying? And Mhm. So again, it's a whole process to it, right? It's not, as easy or as simple. It's not. That's why it has nothing to do. Let's just say, as you not raising your voice or you behaving a certain way. I mean, that has nothing to do with being emotionally in charge of you. If anything, that may be you wearing a mask. You know what I'm saying? Or a good part of being a deceiver too. Is that type of control, is that type of behavior. You know what I'm saying? Which has nothing to do with you addressing your true shit and truly understanding that. But anyway, obviously, I mean, becoming emotionally balance entails a whole process of you understanding what your emotions are, you getting in touch with, you got burnt, like, okay, what does that mean, like how are you dealing with it. Yes, you put your hands here, it tells you not to put your hands again. Okay, why? What's going on here? Is there any way, if I wanted to put my hands again, how would I have to do it next time? You see what I'm saying? Like there's so many different things now. That's now at this point. You are. I mean, you pretty much in charge of your emotions now. You understand your emotional pattern. In fact, now you are creating your pattern, and ultimately, I mean, that's where you need to get. I mean, really to be emotionally balanced is for you to master your own emotions. Now, in addition to that, or simultaneously as you're doing that for your emotions, you also got to do the same thing for your mental. And to be mentally balanced, you have to understand how your own mind works. How is your mind being conditioned? And in fact, as you see in the title tonight, oh man, we're gonna go a lot more into that part. Because when we're talking about being in this world and not of the world, I mean, Oh man, you know what I'm saying? Stay tuned. I got you. But most importantly, for you, you have to be, you have to be in control of all, and acknowledge all of these things, because as you becoming mentally balanced, is you becoming more aware of yourself. So, meaning you would have to understand society. You would have to understand how is society shaping you, not just society, but I mean society in different economic groups like culture, television and all that shit. You have to see how, I mean, the impact and how is that. Do you see what I'm saying? And then, I mean, the whole aspect of you under being acknowledge. I mean, acknowledging that whole aspect of it, it's just so that you maintain who you are, or you maintain a highest level of consciousness, but most importantly a highest level of mental, because now you're able to transcend or to use, I mean, but most importantly you aware of how your mind is being conditioned, because without you doing that, how would you condition your own mind? And that's why you have to understand culture, because culture plays a big part in how you think, how you see life, how you define your reality. In other words, your state of thinking. Like, to become mentally balanced, you have to acknowledge that. But anyway, if you're coming back, you already know it's nothing but love. You know what we do here, baby. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, man, I do this for you. You know what I'm saying? Those of you who keep coming back, and those of you who are just now coming on board, welcome. You know what I'm saying? So, in a nutshell, as a spiritual healer, that's pretty much what I do. Now, as part of my routine, guys, if this is your first time, I normally take a minute, and if you're coming back too, you already know. I always like to take a minute just to talk about spirituality real quick, because spirituality pretty much is what I use as a spiritual healer, to make some of the points that I make. It's like I'm trying to tell you, just like we were talking about being mentally balanced. I'm